350th episode. The biggest milestone on TGV platform is here. And we have a special guest today, Hasini Lakshminarayanan. She is the youngest speaker on TGV platform after Hansika Tyagi, whom we featured for the 225th episode. Unfortunately, Hansika Tyagi passed away last year due to SMA2. In fact, those of you who have watched her episode, she took her episode lying on the bed while her mom was holding the camera. But the kind of insights that she has shared with the TGV audience are kind of unforgettable, and she has left a lot of memories. In fact, we have dedicated our first book, TGV Inspiring Lives, to Hansika Tyagi. And wherever she is, I hope she rests in peace. And before we get into a perfect topic, age is just a number and just a limiting belief, and there are no failures. Let us open the first rapid fire round. So, Hasini, I'm going to mention a few random words to you, and you have to answer them by sharing what comes to your mind first. Just a word or sentence without thinking too much.
For that, I thank you so much for having me here. It's such an honor. And congrats to you on the 350th episode and of the series. And it is very, very heartbreaking that Hansika Tyagi has gone through this, and that is very, very inspirational. And again, to wherever she is, I hope she's doing well and safe, and that she finds peace.
Thank you so much. And always, I think good people leave the world so quickly, and unfortunately, she's no more. But all that she has shared is going to stay with us forever. And on that note, before we get into this rapid fire round of random words, I'd also like to take a moment to thank Vikram Edavelli for proposing you to be a host on this podcast. So thanks, Vikram. And Vikram is one of my dear friends from my GE days, and we have hosted him for episode number 3, where he spoke about entrepreneurship, and he has been a great supporter of the platform. And Hansika, let's get started with the rapid fire round. And the first word that comes to my mind is curiosity.
Me. I mean, I've always been the kid in class who has to raise their hand a million times in just an hour of period. So, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And passion.
Passion. The first step, youth empowerment.
Super.
Yeah. That's my organization.
Health.
Something that I have to deeply work on and take care about.
Absolutely. I think that is very essential, especially you have started at such a tender age. You have to balance your health as well. And next one is the time.
10th grade trauma. Time, something that I am still learning to manage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next one is government.
Government, something that has been doing phenomenal work in India.
Mm-hmm. And then cartoon.
Cartoon, my best friend. Okay, that is kind of personal, but yeah, my best friend. Or probably Mickey Mouse at the clubhouse.
Okay. And motivation.
Motivation. TEDx.
Food.
Love.
Earth.
Okay. Earth. Peace. Or Thanos.
Okay. And the last one, which is related to our topic today, age.
It's just a number.
I thought you would say it. And thank you for your sportive participation in the rapid fire. Let me introduce the podcast to the world. This is the Guiding Voice podcast series, folks. And TGV is for a better future. I'm your host, Navin Samala, a fellow professional and a passionate learner on a mission to make the world a better place to live. Through the Guiding Voice, we drive conversations that matter and conversations that add value to your life and your career. Thank you everyone for being part of our journey. And it's been little over 3 years, and we have created a lot of records. Okay. And nothing would have been possible without all your support. So thank you everyone. Thank you so much for all the love and for all the affection that you have been showering on the platform. And we have a long way to go, as always. Or let us make it to global top 1% by end of this year. And I'm sure it will be possible with all your support. And folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Hasini, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice. And I'm super thrilled to host you today.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everybody. And it's great to see that you've come up this far. All the best for this series to get its utmost recognition. And hi, everybody. It's nice to be here. I feel very honored and flattered. Yeah. Thank you.
Most welcome. Let's get started, Hasini. Can you tell us briefly about yourself and your journey so far? You have got an impressive background, and I'm sure there is a lot in place for you. You are going to break all the records and achieve many great things in life for sure. So let's go ahead.
Thank you so much. That is such a big compliment. Thanks for that. Well, in short about me, I am a very, very enthusiastic person who's very curious to learn a lot about everything in general. I love experimenting. But on the professional aspects of it, if I have to give a formal introduction about myself, I am 14 years old, likely to be 15 in another 20 days. A 10th grade student who is a social entrepreneur running the organization The First Step, which works towards youth empowerment. It's been about 3 years since I started First Step, and we've gotten up pretty far from where we started. And apart from that, I'm a fair writer. I've authored 2 books, and I represent government of Tamil Nadu, which is the state I live in, as a young nutrition ambassador, and I've been addressing type of topics. Apart from that, I love public speaking. That is one of my, something that I'm really proud about myself of. I am a TEDx speaker. I've done 3 TED Talks and 2 Josh Talks, which is a big platform here in India. And apart from that, I've addressed in more than 70 plus conferences, written close to around 60 to 70 plus articles, and yeah, that's pretty much me in short.
That's quite a lot for a 14-year-old. I can't believe it. Superb impressed, and the way you are crafting yourself is amazing. And I'm curious about what are the top 3 things that have contributed to your success so far.
Well, it has to be that I never, I had this hunger in myself, which, I learned from a lot of people there. And one of the main things that I learned is to not look up at failures as failures and take them as learnings and take them as, a stepping stone to, take that as feedback and, add it back to your journey and get better at what you're doing. So, I mean, obviously I've had a lot of falls, but every time that really made me want to stand up back again stronger every time we had a fall. So I termed to this quote, right? There are no failures, only feedback. So it's like one of the success principles that I stick to. So that would be, one of the 3 aspects. Secondly, I feel like, I was clear with what I wanted to do, especially in this generation for the Gen Zs, just because there's like, abundance of resources and fields and, job opportunities. It's really hard for people to choose and realize what they are good at and what they best want to pursue. I'm glad that I got to know that at a young age because I was experimenting a lot and was making utmost use of the resources that I was surrounded with. So that is really important as well, because you definitely don't want to regret in your late 40s that you could have done something else, something, which gave you happiness, something that you most would enjoy. So, I mean, figuring out what you best want to do is also, an important aspect of it, because that's how I enjoy the work I was doing. And, I really put my utmost effort into it, into making it better. And thirdly, try to be consistent and just don't, have factors and believe in stereotypes, because that is really going to stop you from breaking those stereotypes. For me, I've been branded a lot that I'm 14-year-old in a bad way, right? That I wasn't capable of doing something. And now that I've, actually over and over again try to prove myself that age is just a number, now I'm being recognized that I'm a 14-year-old who's able to do such things. So that is an award that I can add to my crown, right? So just don't stick to beliefs and start believing in whatever people have to say, because that is just going to stop you from, breaking those beliefs and stereotypes. So instead, just put some faith in yourself, stick to your true morals, and just wing it. So yeah, that is probably 3 aspects which I say contributed to my journey so far.
Awesome. And I'm also curious to understand what inspired you to pursue your passion and achieve success at such an young age.
It was boredom. Very honestly, like it was lockdown and around, when lockdown started in India, 2020 March, I believe, if I'm right. I am not accurate probably, but yeah. And we didn't have schools at that time. I was very, very, very bored. The only option I had was Netflix. I know that it's not very healthy, but obviously every teenager is influenced by Netflix. So I was on Netflix for like over 10 days. And I realized I had so much time after literally watching every single series, though it is appropriate or inappropriate. I watch, and then I'm pretty spoiled, Brad. But at the end of the day, I feel like I realized that I had so much time that I had to use it productively. So I went back to my dad. He has solutions to everything. So
Nice.
I went back to my dad, asked him if he had something to, some job that he could give me that I could just chuma do and enjoy. So, I mean, enjoy doing and, just be productive in general. So he comes up with this idea of, me trying to interview people for Father's Day, because Father's Day was around the corner. It was just like, a fun little project where I tried to document videos of children talking about their fathers. And then the plan was to gift that to their fathers on Father's Day, right? So I did do that. It started off with my cousin on like a simple Zoom call. And from there on to my dad's friends, sons and daughters. And from there on to random people. So it was like, a drastic change from where it started to where it ended. And we initially did not have a plan to post this on, the internet, but we did. We edited and all of that and then posted it. And people also complimented that I do a fair host. And I myself, like the fact that I loved interacting with people. And why resist myself? Because I am a very overly extroverted person. I interact with people in general itself. And when lockdown hit, I was obviously confiscated between 4 walls, right? So I was like, why restrict myself and, interact with as many people as possible? And for me as a personality who grew up to see public speaking as a vision, I definitely wanted to incorporate this part, and I've always wanted to work with youth and public. So why not connect all of the dots together? And that's how we came up with this concept of interviewing young achievers. And from there on, we started First Sip, and today, about 3 years later, we First Step has interviewed more than 120 plus people.
Wow.
We've had so much ample of success, and from where we started, and now the project that we are working on is our online e-magazine called Guiding Young Minds. So the major inspiration in my journey was just boredom, and for me to use my time productively. Because, you just have this feeling every single day that finally someday you have to be productive. And one day it just sinks in, right? Why not today? So, yeah, that's how it all happened.
Yeah, finding opportunities in disguise. I think that is what has worked out for you. Awesome.
Yeah.
And many people believe that age can be a limiting factor in achieving success, right? So how have you personally dealt with this belief?
Well, I mean, I did get it a lot when I started. So the major, aspect of me trying to get better was also that. It was like a motivational factor to, break that stereotype. And that's what I was doing, interviewing young achievers, people who have achieved at a young age. Right. So my plan for, that is for people or students to get inspired by stories of these young achievers and start their journeys at a young age. Right? Little did I know that I myself would be an example for that. I saw them and my potentials started coming out. I feel like, yes, people are being, people are in a disbelief that it's not possible for, young achievers to be more, outdated and successful, which is debatable. But I feel like it is just because that they don't have experience, and that's why they're judging, right? Through what I've observed. And that's fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But I can assure that young people today have solutions to every single problem. Just because I've been, talking and interacting with over, 100 plus people of, closely around my age, younger or older. But, they are literally the best people I know in the work that they're doing. And the clarity that they have is unimaginable. You've had people in the past who's broken stereotypes, such as Tendulkar, for example. People thought that it wasn't possible for a 16-year-old to make it the Indian cricket team. He did that. He broke the belief, right? Following his shoes, I can name 120 people who did the same thing, who proved time and time again that they are very clear about what they're doing and they can also be successful. And age is not a factor that is blocking them. And even let's just not target young people, right? People who are in their 50s, 60s, and probably even older. KFC. Let's take the story of Kentucky's Fried Chicken. The founder was about 56 years old or so when he actually found KFC, which is now one of the largest food chains in the world. Right? Yeah. So I think experience is a factor which contributes to success, but another factor is how differently young minds envision the world. How good and they are the fields they're working. And for me, the only thing I did was to prove to people on how involved and serious I am about the work I was doing. And that was enough for people to, trust or, agree that, yes, she is good at what she's doing. And for that, I just had to be consistent. I just had to be clear with, and, whatever I was doing. And I stuck to my moral values. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. If I have to sum it up.
Quite inspirational. And also,
thank you.
Also, you said you initially faced some obstacles or challenges due to age, right? So, how did you overcome those obstacles?
Well, yes, there were a lot of challenges. Initially, I was actually previously freelancing for this, newspaper called Hindu. Well, Hindu is quite big of a deal in India.
Yeah.
And it is a pretty well-known newspaper. Right? So that opportunity, I didn't get it in the first glance. I had to go through multiple, requests and, because obviously they wouldn't want a 14-year-old unexperienced reporter and writer to be, featuring people in such a big newspaper, which is recognized by, a lot of people in the country. So, I was, that was like one experience which I can call out or relate to when you ask me this question. How I had to prove myself again. I just had to, let know people that, I might not be the best at it, but I know what I'm doing and I can do a fair job and justify the post that I've been assigned to. So that's everything I did. I just had to, prove to them or, understand, make them, understand and convince them in the best way possible that I suit this post best. So, and yes, I was constantly trying to break the stereotype of, people being young and not being able to do stuff. But I'm also not going to say that all people are like that. There are people who actually look for young masterminds and assign jobs to them because they apparently realize that, young people can actually do it better than people who are experienced. That's not something that I'd like to promote, but, just in general, I'm saying people have different views and opinions, right? Obviously. So, that's how I try to break that stereotype. But in general, that's one instant that I can call out when I am talking about this.
Nice. And I'm also going to share a couple of examples towards the end of the episode of whoever has started young and broke that stereotype of age is not a barrier, right? Age is not a barrier. And I don't know why people think about age. In fact, you would have understood by now, like when we featured Hansika Tyagi, I got a lot of suggestions to host somebody at a CXO level for Fortune 500, but I gave precedence to Hansika Tyagi at that time because I think everybody has a lot of stuff to share, and age is just a number. I strongly concur with you, and in fact, the way this conversation is happening, in fact, I got connected with you on LinkedIn last year, probably when I came across your profile, and I was enthused, and I thought I'll invite you to this forum, but good things take time, and finally we are making it today for the 350th episode, and I'm so happy that we could make it and share your amazing story with the world. And thanks for giving this opportunity. Let's move ahead. And you said there are no failures, right? So can you share an experience where you faced setbacks or challenges and how you reframed them as learning opportunities? Other than Hindu, other than the Hindu example that you mentioned, is there any other incident that you would like to share?
A lot, but like a major, setback that made me even stronger was before Hindu. Right? This was like my very, very initial period of, the venture and all. I just started first. We were very new. And we were obviously, trying to reach out to people for, trying to brand ourselves and all that. And I first got my opportunity to be a reporter to this magazine called Redefining magazine. I was very excited because this was like one first proper, post or opportunity that I was assigned to. Right? So any person, any millennial would, how excited they would be. I was the same. And to my luck, in about a few months later, Brainfeed High magazine closed. They shut. So I mean, I wouldn't call that a failure because again, it isn't something that was controlled by me, but it was a major setback. Right? Yeah. I didn't know what to do. I was clueless at a point, and it was just a lot for a 12-year-old to handle. I mean, as in, I was pretty clueless. But as soon as, I realized that just being clueless wouldn't help, I was, I convinced myself to believe that, this is just a learning lesson. And there is something, when something ends, there is obviously going to be a start following it up. And I tried to break the belief that it's not going to end here, and I did job hunting. And that's when I related to my 20-year-old brother, who said it's not going to be easy, Hasini. And I started reaching out to people, and that's how I started reaching out to Hindu, and over again, they did probably realize that I was good enough. But in the end, it did come down to them, being convinced, and that's how it happened. But apart from that, when I talk about failures, not all the 70 conferences that I've been to have been amazing. Right? There's going to be a lot in which I've messed up in as a public speaker, where I failed to, justify the fact that I'm supposed to entertain and engage the crowd. So, I mean, that has been major setbacks, which has, improved my speaking skills. So, yeah, that like really shaped me into a better public speaker, because I now know what people enjoy and what they don't. So, yeah, that is another incident if I have to call out. But the brain feed one really did drain me up at a point, because that 12 years old, that's when I started my show and lessons and all of that. And at that point, we were super exposed to social media just because it was pandemic and all of that. And it was, so much trauma at once, and a lot for me to handle in general. And even after school reopened last year, right, it was a lot for me to handle just because I was in 9th grade, and I didn't initially know how I'm supposed to manage all of this. I just went with the flow, which clearly did work out, but didn't initially. My grades went down. I'm a very, very, very decent academic performer. Right? I can score pretty good and all that. So I didn't mess up in the beginning, and again, that was a major setback. But then I learned on how I'm supposed to deal with it and be pretty stress free so that I can actually concentrate and have some peace of mind. So yeah, that is few incidents as a student entrepreneur that I went through that really helped me be a better person.
Nice. And I'm sure your perspective on failure might have influenced your approach to new endeavors or projects. So how are you handling new projects now?
Well, the current project that I've been working on is my e-monthly magazine. It's called Guiding Young Minds. It is basically a platform where we are featuring stories of the youth and other informational fun content, which you can, just hop on into it and read. It is a pretty precise and compact e-magazine, if I have to put it in short. And yeah, we have a pretty big and, well-settled team of teenagers. And apart from that, our main aim for the magazine is for it to reach out to as many people as possible, especially students. The current mark is about 10 lakh people, but we've been trying to reach to as many schools as possible. And let's say we are at least a tenth close to the number. So yeah, and people watching, it'll be great if you can check it out too. It's called Guiding Young Minds, and yeah, that's the new project that I've been working on. How I'm handling it, seriously, hands down, I don't know. I'm in 10th grade right now, and if you're here in India, you probably know that boards is a huge deal in India, right? So, I mean, I'd be writing 10th boards and 12th boards as I'm a CBSE student, and it's like a major, academic aspect of any student who graduates in Indian curriculum. It's a lot, to be very honest. And now that I've taken up, major positions in schools as prefects and all of that, I'm able to experience a lot, but a lot isn't healthy in all of the time. So yes, I've been into pressure, all of the student things that usually everyone goes through, but end of the day, I just know that I don't want to miss out on anything, and I think I did justice to that. So it's been great. I don't really know on how I'm managing all of it, but I just said. End of the day, it comes to if I'm doing great with my professional, aspect, which I believe I am, because I never want to, shut all of this down just because of the fact that I'm in 10th grade. And my academic life is going pretty decently. Apart from that, I am enjoying culturals, some fun being in school and all of that. So yeah, it's good.
Amazing.
I don't really know how I'm managing all of this.
No, you are very clear on what you want to do and where you want to go. So that clarity is driving you. That's my understanding.
Probably. I'm just winging it on the way. So yeah.
Superb. And wonderful conversation so far. Let's add some spice to the episode. I'm going to kick off a second rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you a few interesting questions. You can answer them crisply. Okay? If you're ready, let me fire the first bullet.
Yes, please.
Okay. So what is the most exciting project or endeavor you have worked on so far? The dearest.
Okay. Starting first step probably. But something which is I was a part of and I didn't, start would be being a TEDx and Target Tech Elevator as a speaker.
And here comes my next one. If you could have a conversation with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
This is really funny. I think the person who's supposed to watch it's like a dear friend. Okay, so Karl Marx, I admire him and the rebellion he started, and just because of the fact that he's a great leader and orator, I'd love to meet him. And probably one of the senates in US. So yeah.
Okay, got it. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Laughter. My name means laughter. Hasini. Yeah.
And if you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why?
Silicon Valley. As an entrepreneur, yeah. I mean, that's everything that I do to be there. So yeah.
Okay. And what is something surprising or unexpected thing that people may not know about you?
See, every person on social media has another side, so it's basically split personality. But for me, I can get really cranky if I'm not eating. I don't know if a lot of people do that. I mean, if a lot of people know that about me, and I'm a very good artist, something I'm proud about. I hold 2 graduations in arts, so yeah, I'm a very fair artist. That's
Oh.
something which a lot of people don't know about me, and
Mhm.
yes, I'm not super mature and mature for my age. I can be really cranky at times, so like my very close circle knows this. Yeah.
Got it. And here comes the last one. What is one electronic
Yes.
gadget or fantasy gadget that you'd like to see or invent yourself?
Well, I'm really, really, really into Harry Potter. So if there's a gadget who could, like take me or like, just, like the genie lamp, if it could, make things real and make me a fictional character, I'm all down for it. So yeah.
Good one. Let's flip back to the mainstream. And what advice would you give to other young individuals who may feel restricted by their age in pursuing their dreams?
Well, my advice would be that be clear with what you want to pursue because that is a major setback in all of the teenagers. I get that you're confused, but try to experiment as much as possible when you're young because I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't find time when you're old enough and to do that. So be clear with what you want to do and what you want to pursue because that is a major, major major regret for old people, who couldn't pursue what they wanted to do and they realize it later on in their life. And start out young. See, you don't have to be a really successful person just being 14, right? That is not what I'm asking you to do. Just experiment when you're young, make use of the resources because in today's world, everything ideally is possible. There isn't one thing that you can name that isn't possible, right? So, try to make use of all of that and be your best version when you're young and try to start out young. I think that'll lead you to more experiences when you want to be successful in your millennials or later on in life. So try to start out young and better clearly know what you want to do so that you enjoy your passion in your career later on. That'll be like one thing that I want to share to the people watching. And for the others in general, like life is a learning lesson process. So just enjoy as much as you could and take backs and implement it into your journey. And just don't consider failures to be failures. See them as feedbacks. Take them as learning lessons. Mistakes really lead you to become a better person. So just don't come to a conclusion that you're not good at something just because you failed once. Yeah, that is like a few things that I like to jot down if I have to
Yeah,
share to people.
mind blowing. So don't take failures as failures, rather they are feedback and learnings. Such a powerful note.
Yes.
And I'm sure your parents must be proud of you. And kudos to your parents, for bringing up such a wonderful child and who is inspiring millions across the globe. So, can you share briefly about your parents and how they have, what kind of things that they share with you, and how is your, how are you being raised? Like anything different?
Okay. Nothing different. It's just Indian parenting, but I mean, my parents are pretty chill with whatever the work I'm doing and all of that. But Mama and Papa, like, listen, I am an excellent child, as I'm being referred to. So, my dad is a pretty cool personality because, more than a dad, he's been a pretty good friend to me. But like the senior most friend that I ever had, and someone who jots in you openly says that this is right and this is wrong, and I can be pretty open to him. That's something that I most enjoy, and I feel like all kids should be at least up to a point open to their parents. And I feel like my parents have created a comfort zone for me so that I can be open to them. That's something that I admire about them. Apart from that, my parents were pretty cool when I opened up saying that I wanted to do something like that, and which is not very common at least, in the society that I belong to. So again, I had to break that stereotype of being a very cultured Brahmin person who's been raised up in such a family, who had to, do social influencing and all of that. But end of the day, I can definitely assure that all of my family, my cousins, my the whole of my circle is pretty proud. So the only thing that I'd say to parents is, let your kids explore as much as they could. Create an environment for them in where they could explore. And even though if you're, don't give, I'm not trying to, convince you to give them full freedom. It is your responsibility to, stop them when they're wrong and all of that. But, let them just figure out what they want to do and give them that space. And even if they come up to you approaching that, they really feel like they have to do this, give them that space. I mean, they might be good at it, they might not be, but end of the day, it's your duty as a parent to look after them and give them their space to find and figure out what their individuality is and what they want to, do. And don't try to force in your, interests. And just because I see a lot of people actually doing it, I'm just telling you, don't try to force it into your kids just because you couldn't do that. That is like a brutal thing to do. And I mean, yes, you have a lot of aspirations and you want to see your child in such a big platform being successful. You know what's best for your kids. I agree. But I feel like they themselves know what's best for them. And at times they don't align together in the best way possible. So, I mean, end of the day, it has to be their priorities, but it also has to be your priorities. So, just don't try to convince them, but help them in choosing what's best for them and what's right with them. So, yeah, that'll be it, I guess.
Super.
And that's what my parents have been doing. And yeah, I mean, my mom isn't someone who is like, very outdated or very, extroverted, but my dad is. So it's like two different personalities in the house. And I have a little sister who's like very, very, very young. She's like 10 years younger than me. So it's like having old parents and seeing me myself growing up over again. So it's a like a cute little family of people being their best versions and the other people letting them be their best versions. And I think that really creates the bond between us. So I have to put it down in a cute way.
Super. I loved it. And those of you who are a parent, and if you're watching or listening to this episode, I strongly recommend you to go through this once again. I think Hasini has a lot to offer. And one thing which I really liked is try to give a free hand to your kids, okay, to an extent, and don't try to impose some restrictions, and at the same time, don't try to let your kids chase your dreams. Rather, let them explore. That would be my key takeaway. And Hasini, thank you so much for that. And how is your experience being hosted on The Guiding Voice?
Well, it's been a pretty long time since I've actually been into a podcast. It's just me on the other way, right? I usually host shows. So it feels pretty delighted to be on the other side of it. And you did a phenomenal job. Thank you so much. There's few aspects of it which I admire from you as a host. And thanks for keeping me entertained and, engaging with the audience and all of that. So thank you so much for having me here. It's such an honor. And thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for being here. I hope you found my journey.
Yeah, your journey is inspirational, and I think we'll bring you back for our 500th episode or maybe 700th episode. Hopefully. And by that time, you might have achieved many more things. And on that note, thank you once again, Hasini. Really appreciate all the insights, and also thank you for spending time with the TGV community. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me here again.
All right. So, folks, that was our episode with Hasini Lakshminarayanan. And before we move into the trivia section, here's a request to you. Please subscribe to us in case if you haven't done already. Also request you to leave a rating or review if you are listening to this episode on Apple Podcast or Spotify. And if you have loved this episode and found the conversation useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from the guiding voice. Thanks in advance. Now, let's hop into the trivia segment. So today we had the youngest speaker on the show, Hasini Lakshminarayanan, who is just 14-year-old as the time of recording. And today we are going to discuss about a few other people who have started at a very young age. And here comes the first one on the list. Shirley Temple, the iconic child actress, started her acting career at the age of 3 and became one of the biggest stars of Hollywood in the 1930s. And second person is Ryan Krajak, a Canadian philanthropist, founded the Ryan's Well Foundation at the age of 6 to provide clean water and sanitation facilities to the communities in need. And third one is Mozart, the renowned composer, began composing music at the age of 5 and was performing for European royalty by the age of 6. And the last one, Malala Yousafzai, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate and education activist, began advocating for girls' education in Pakistan when she was just 11 years old. Likewise, if you know any successful person who has started young, please let us know their story and also probably refer them as a speaker on this show. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Folks, do not forget to share your topic recommendations and also guest speaker suggestions through social media, or you can email me at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. I'm your host, Navin Samala, a fellow professional and a passionate learner on a mission to make the world a better place to live through conversations that matter and conversations that add value to your life and your career. Until next time, bye-bye. See you all in the next episode with another wonderful speaker, and keep showering your love. Keep supporting the guiding voice. Let us make this a better place to live. Signing off for now.